Hi, I'm Alex Archbold, and I've been buying and selling antiques since I was 9 years old. From basements to scrapyards, I'll look just about anywhere I can to find lost antiques and collectibles. And sometimes I'll go big and buy everything. I never know what's going to happen or who I'm going to meet. This is our life, this is our adventure, and this is Curiosity Inc.
Hello and welcome to today's episode. Well, this is probably no surprise to those of you watching at home who have seen me take raccoon-infested and eaten Rolls Royces and bring them back to life. I've taken old boats and fixed them up, and it's been kind of escalating over the last few years. Just last year, we ended up picking up this lovely 1972 Citroën SM that was essentially abandoned. It was sitting on the side of the road, and we were able to get that vehicle shined up the way you see it and driving, new tires, polished up. We got the missing body panels. Anyway, it was a faded car, but truthfully, that was the first car I've had with sort of an exotic engine in it that has a Maserati engine in it, the same engine that'd be in a Maserati Merak, and it's one of the most complicated vehicles probably made in that period of time, one of the most complicated vehicles almost ever. And that didn't scare me off. And so I figured it was time this year to start, well, it's only January now, but it's starting 2023 off with a bang and getting something the most exotic and probably one of the more ambitious cars I've had to work on. And that's this. It is a 1967 Ferrari 330 GT 2+2. Now, let me flip the camera around to kind of walk you through the vehicle and show you what kind of shape it's in. I know it looks shiny from here, but looks can be deceiving. It's good from afar, but far from good. Before I start talking about the things that are wrong with this vehicle, let me celebrate the things that are right. The body is absolutely rust and rot free. The paint, I think it'll shine up. I think the paint is salvageable, and although when you get close, you can see that there's scuffs and swirls, and the paint is really not in that great of condition. I think a really good cleaning and a really good, a good wash and a good polish should bring that paint back up. It's a low mile car. It has 75,000 kilometers on it. So that's just 55 or 60,000 miles. So not a whole lot. It was sitting for the last 5 years or more. And in that time, it needs some attention. And let me walk you through what it needs. The first thing that when you look under the hood that you see is this, albeit dirty but gorgeous, V12 Colombo Ferrari engine. Now this car is from the legacy of when Enzo Ferrari was still around. In fact, he drove a 330 GT as his sort of daily driver, at least for press releases anyway. I think the guy really didn't care what he drove as a daily car, which is ironic, but it's true. This car is the 2 headlight version. Now, majority of these cars actually came with quad headlights, and is designed by Tom Jarda. I don't know if I said that last name right, but anyway, he designed it with these funky sort of quad headlights that it was considered for many years the ugly duckling of Ferraris. So the Series 2 330 GT is actually a very traditionally classic Ferrari and a very pretty vehicle. You know, it does have a 12-cylinder naturally aspirated V12 engine and dual ignition system, very much like the Citroën does. Now, to kind of go over some of the things that the car needs. Okay, well, let's look at the interior a little bit here. One, the interior is not great. It's a little faded, but I mean, again, the vehicle's from 1967, so really what do you expect after that amount of time? It's going to have a bit of wear and tear. The seats are going to need to be, at very least, re-dyed. You can see there's a lot of discoloring, and the leather has become a little bit hard. That is actually not anywhere near the biggest problem with the car. I'm going to continue on. We've got some pitting on the chrome handles. We've got loose mirror. And we've got some pitting on the rims on the front on these alloy rims. And that is doable locally. There is a place that redoes rims here. The chrome, such as the handles and the chrome on the rear bumper, see how it's pitting here? That will have to be sent off because we no longer have a chrome shop in town. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to take that 3 hours away to the city of Calgary to get that re-chromed. This back bumper is straight, but in tough shape. The trunk liner is worn out. That's pretty easy. That's carpeting and so forth. But while I'm getting upholstery done, you can see that the little perforated dots for the speaker have been kind of pushed in, or something's happened to it over the years. And that speaker back there, well, it's completely trashed. So we're going to need speakers, not a big deal. We're going to have to get this back panel reupholstered completely, probably a new card and new upholstery. That's doable. And really, a lot of the things on this car seem like a pretty easy fix, except for one thing. It's not currently running. Now, we did get a battery in it, and I am told the vehicle does crank. It does turn over, but I don't want to try and start this thing until I've had a chance to kind of go through it. I really don't know what the storage conditions were like. We see some pitting. I can see the radiator's got a little bit of seepage on the top there. So I don't know if I'm going to have some leakage there. But when we walk around to the cabin here, rims again will need to be redone. That's fine. Another chrome door handle I got to pull off. And the goal with this car isn't to have a fully restored car. I just want to have a really clean driver. In fact, this is the most exotic and fancy and special car I think I've probably ever owned. And it's in not the best condition. I went to check the glove box. To see if there was maybe an owner's manual in there or something, and this is what I found. And you might have seen I had rubber gloves over on the motorcycle earlier. Well, it's because of this. Mouse nest or rat nest. I don't know which, but whatever it is, it's gotta go. But, you can see bits and pieces of registration and stuff in there. And that insulation or whatever it was using to build the nest, well, I sure hope that didn't come out of one of the seats here, because that's going to create some issues. I have not seen anything wiggling around in there or moving as of yet. But I'm going to grab a plastic bag and I'm going to grab some gloves and I'm going to get this cleaned out because that is disgusting. So I said looks can be deceiving. The car needs an extremely good clean. It's filthy from sitting. I don't know why you would have a nice car like this and store it improperly, but that is precisely what happened to it. But it's not without saving. And so I'm going to start the process here of bringing this car back to life, making it run, making it hopefully drive again. And I'd love to have it out to a show this summer. I don't know if I'll be able to get everything that it needs done in time. The other good thing about this car, other than the fact that the paint is decent, and the bumper does need to be re-chromed and so forth, there's a few things that need to be taken care of, primarily getting it running. It does have functioning brakes, and it was last registered, I think, in 2012. According to the sticker that I have on the front of it. It was on the road in 2012. It's not that long to be off the road, but long enough that it will need to be gone through. We'll have to do an oil change on it. We'll have to basically kind of go through the car and make sure everything is good to go, because I don't want to be taking this thing on the road and it's not working. That said, I have to figure out how to get it started first, and I don't think I'm going to do that right now. I think on this video, I'm going to start by actually giving it a good cleaning. We're gonna get that mouse nest out of the garage, and we're gonna maybe attempt to clean under the engine bay a little bit before we move out to the outside and do a little bit of the exterior cleanup. Boy, an ambitious project, but wow, it's a Ferrari. So pretty excited to tear into this one this year. This is the feather in the cap. This is the icing on the cupcake. Cupcake? Maybe I didn't feel like a whole cake this morning, but I sure took a big bite out of this thing. So I'm gonna start cracking on it. We're gonna start with a little bit of cleanup on it, and I guess go from there. Came in the house to get my garbage bag, and incidentally, this is what it looks like outside right now. So this car is not going to be moving anytime soon in those sort of conditions. That should give me enough time to get the vehicle more or less ready before summer hits. Got my gloves on, got my garbage bag. You know, the one thing I really don't like about these type of gloves is that you can feel everything like you're actually touching it with your own skin. And if there is gonna be like a rat carcass or something in here, I'm not gonna be too pleased. We actually fun fact, we don't have rats where I am. We do have mice though. Looks like a, darn it, that was a receipt. Or an inspection report. What's left of it. Rear panel behind door glass, lower rear valance, right hand rear quarter, remove, clean, polish, reinstall, chrome trim and glass, strip entire car. Well, oh, and red epoxy prime and paint. So this was a receipt from the car getting repainted. And unfortunately, that receipt is pretty much eaten. What else am I gonna find in here? That's the thing, like, darn it, I hate the fact that the important paperwork like that has been chewed up, because that would be really, really helpful to have. Gosh, this is gonna require a little bit of finesse, I think, to get this out. Gross. God, why is it that every fancy old car I buy, like the Rolls Royce or this, has had rats or something living in it? Why? Oh, well, there's the Blaupunkt manual. Of all the things that survive, I can see it looked like it ate a cassette. What was it hungry for? It would be funny if it was hungry like the wolf. Oh no, Elton John's greatest hits. Something ate Elton John's greatest hits and turned it into a nest. Well, so far I don't see skeleton, which is good. And I might actually have some papers that are somewhat intact. Oh gosh. There's a chrome bit in there. What's that? Window crank? Oh, that's the emergency window crank, because it does have power windows, but it's got that little crank on the bottom. I'm not gonna stick it in until it's cleaned up, but that's in case your power windows stop working. They're like, we know that the windows might become faulty, so we've given you this. Blaupunkt, that's the instruction booklet for the incorrect Blaupunkt radio that's in there. Semi-automatic power antenna. I'm gonna really try and save some of this stuff. I don't know if I can. Oh, look. I just put it in the bag because I don't wanna have it, what is that? Glasses? What was the guy driving around with? He had aviators. Big old aviator sunglasses. Now that's a Tom Cruise look, that is. Costco. I was like, are they brand name? Nope, Costco. Little piece of leather. My goodness. You know, and some of these little bits and bobs might become important. So I gotta be careful to go through all this again and not throw anything out that really deserves to be salvaged. Oh, there's a scraper in here. I'm trying to use it to get the crust out. Okay. Well, on the plus side, what is this? Duplicolor scratch. General Motors bright red. It must have had a little whoopsie with the paint. That is a floorboard stopper. It looks like that would go in your floorboard, like a little drain plug or something. Yeah, some of this stuff is probably, like that looks like an interior piece. Oh, you know what? I bet that goes right there. I bet it does. That's the plug for the window crank. See, you can't just go through and throw everything out because you're going to throw out something probably that's irreplaceable on a car like this. Okay, I'm going to get the last of this cleaned up out of here. Oh, look, a penny. A good luck penny. It's not, what year is this from? 1979. Okay, I'm going to finish getting this cleaned out and see what I got. See if I can make that glove box look good again. Glove box is emptied of its nest. I'm actually going to spray some disinfectant cleaner in there and let it soak for a bit. I've got my sack lunch, which I am actually going to sort through because if there are some important papers in here, I don't want to throw them out, even though they've been in that mousy, ratty nest. I'll probably try and give them a bit of a wipe down and put them in plastic because it's important to keep your documents with a car like this. Okay, I was able to salvage some receipts and paperwork out of that glove box. I'm not keeping the manuals for the radio, A, because they've been chewed up a little bit, but also that's the incorrect radio for the car. But as it turns out, in my infinite wisdom, I bought a whole bunch of vintage stereos, and look at this. The exact correct factory radio for my car, I already owned. So I'm gonna put that back in at some point. So I won't need that Blaupunk stuff in there. And it looks like the speakers were Sony, probably an expensive stereo system back around 1990 when they were installed, but now very much outdated. I'm going to tie this up and get rid of it. Now, I don't know how this is even possible. Inconceivable. That the rat or mouse or whatever it was that built its nest in here somehow didn't eat through any of the leather and it's in perfect condition. I mean, perfect after I clean it, but there's no chew marks, there's no holes, nothing. In fact, the wood's even in good shape. I really got off lucky with the damage in this glove box, that it was just literally stuffed. In fact, I think because it was lined with all that old, all the old receipts and papers, which sadly I would have liked to have kept, that protected the inside of this glove box to the point where I thought I was going to have to replace the whole thing. But you know what? It's cleaning up just fine. In fact, very soon will be a good home for my aviators. I'm going to get the rest of the crud cleaned out of here and then call it a wrap for now on the glove box. But the thing, I mean, it had to have gotten in underneath the dash. And what I'm worried about is, did it get to any wires? Did it cause any other damage? So I might have to pull that dash pad and have a look underneath. But if I'm lucky, it just crawled through and packed all its stuff in here. Maybe I'll be all right. I don't know. Hard to say. But I don't want to have any surprises. Anyway, back to cleaning. Well, if you would have told me that underneath that little rat nest would be beautiful Italian leather, I would not have believed you. I thought this was going to be toast. Well, hopefully this is a good omen for how the rest of the car is going to go. You know, look at that. Italian leather 1, American Mouse or rat? 0. You tried and you failed to destroy this old glove box. Maybe it was an Italian mouse. I'll only have myself a Ferrari to live in. Anyway, we'll put the aviators back in. And although this was really gross, I'm glad that I'm the one that cleaned it out, because I might, or somebody might have missed this emergency window crank in there, which I'm going to buff that up and see if this will clean up a bit next. Okay. I am going to try a brass brush. Just to see if I can get some of that corrosion off. Parts of it are cleaning up, and parts of it are still pretty crusty. I'm obviously not going to use this on the chrome. I'll use steel wool on the chrome, but it's getting a little bit better. I'm gonna work at it a little bit more and see if I can get the rest of that corrosion off, and then I'll try and get the handle itself cleaned up a bit. This might be something I have to take into the chrome shop, but I'll see if I can clean it up a little bit more than what it is right now. Well, that's a little bit better than what it was, but there's still some pitting in here. Certainly not perfect, but for something that's just gonna hang out in the glove box and hopefully never be used, it's a lot better than what it was. With the glove box dealt with, it's time for me to work on the engine bay. I've put a little industrial cleaner down on top of the air cleaner, mainly because I'm gonna take the air cleaner off and I don't want a lot of dust or debris to get in. So I may actually, it's just filthy. I may vacuum in here a little bit first because I don't want anything to blow inside the carbs. And I'm really hoping when I take this off, I'm not gonna find another nest in there. So I'm gonna grab myself a little socket or a little wrench, and we'll remove this air cleaner and see what we're looking at here. Hopefully no major surprises. I actually took a moment to push the car up a little bit so that I could get my snowblower and stuff back over there. And it dawned on me that Enzo Ferrari, at the time that this car was out, a little bit beforehand, thought that the Jag was the prettier car. He's famous for saying at a car show that this was one of the most beautiful cars he'd ever seen, and yet they had stuff like this kicking around, which is equally as pretty. Hey, but to each their own. I've got my table set up here. Don't know exactly what size. Looks like about a 3/8, and it is not. It's a little bit bigger. Actually, it might be easier for me just to bring my sockets over. But after that is loosened off, I'm gonna put it on the table and we'll have a look inside. You know those moments when a normal person might look at a car like this and go, you know what, I probably shouldn't be touching this. I should let a professional do it. Well, I don't have those thoughts. It is, after all, just a car like any other. And I'm gonna be careful. I'm gonna take my time and not do anything too stupid. I'll probably do something stupid, but hopefully nothing too stupid. So why be afraid? We're gonna live on this planet and we're gonna leave this planet at some point. And at the end of the day, a car is just a car. It's just a piece of metal with wheels. It was a 10 mil, by the way. I should have known this car is likely metric, being that it's Italian. We'll get all these off. Incidentally, I see these cars as being sort of like, not sort of like art. To me, they are art. So this is my little art gallery in my garage. That's why I have art in here. And I don't have pictures of, I would never have posters of ladies in here because that would be disrespectful to my wife, but I don't have a lot of automobilia type stuff hanging on the walls because I really wanted to have an art gallery. And the cars are art, and the art is art. Art, arty, arty, art. Starting to sound like a pirate. Okay, I'm gonna set these bolts aside. Set these over here. And let's see what's under the air cleaner. Is it nasty? Well, there's a little bit of, it looks like this rubber seal is pretty well toast. It's crusted on there. But other than that, yeah, I'm definitely gonna need some new air cleaners. Geez, where am I gonna find air cleaners? Future problem for future me. But on the plus side, I don't see any mouse droppings or issues in there. That all looks pretty good, reasonably good. I will take, it'd be nice if I could actually size this up with one that's like at Napa or something and they have it in the hand. But look, there is some dust and debris from this old gasket or rubber seal on there. So I'm gonna vacuum that all up just so nothing gets inside of those carbs. Go get my vacuum cleaner. Well, that's probably enough for today. I've got the engine bay, started to get that cleaned up a little bit. The air filters, which are right here, they're an 8-inch diameter air filter. It's a little bit squished, but I'm gonna try and track some of these down. I am actually gonna go to Napa. These were made in the US of A by Baldwin, which doesn't make them anymore, but I think I can track something similar down. So I'm gonna go look for those. And there's kind of a push for me to get the car started and movable because I had ordered a hoist, a lift for over here. That was, I don't know, like last year at some point. Well, it's finally in stock and it's supposed to be delivered next week. So they need the car out of the way for them to come and assemble and put the hoist here. But the timing will be great because I'll be able to really get underneath the car, clean it well, detail it. In the meantime, I'm gonna try and make it so it'll start. So that's gonna require new air filters, an oil change, charge up the battery, and cross my fingers, I think, a little bit. So wish me luck. I'm really excited about trying to get this one running and roadworthy before springtime here. So I'm gonna keep going through and working my way through it and make it just a little bit better along the way. So stay tuned for more episodes as I work my way through getting a classic vintage 1960s Ferrari back up and running. So next episode, I'll try and get the air cleaners in. We'll see if we can get it turning over and maybe get fuel to it. And perhaps I'll do the polish on it. Again, it looks fairly shiny right now, but it really does need a good cleaning. It's pretty filthy. So stay tuned for more episodes on that. We'll see if we can make this guy run. And that's it for me. I'm going to call it a night. So thanks very much, guys. Have a wonderful day. We'll see y'all soon. And as always, bye for now.